Last February, serving as our 2024 Harvey Bennett Teacher of the Year and Master PGA of America Professional. Please help me welcome Craig Trahan Jr., PGA Director of
Thank you. I'm very humbled to be here. It's my first presentation in front of a group, and it's just a great day. I can't believe anybody didn't recognize Daylight Savings Time, Golf Pro holiday. That's pretty good. And then another good day is getting 16 hours today versus 8. When I started 20 years ago, I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. Started teaching 20 years ago. You get 1 credit hour per hour served. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey. Technically here. Tell you a little bit about my journey. That's the little lagger up here on the left. Started playing golf when I was about 8, and really cool to meet Roger Cleveland today. You know, I was a huge 588 guy. Must have had a dozen or so of them. So, what an amazing guy to meet. When I'm on this journey, and when you're thinking about a journey, you're thinking about goals you're setting. You're thinking about the process you're on. And a long time ago, I came up with 4 stages, my 4 stages. And the first one is informational stage. I'm gathering information. I'm trying to gather all the knowledge that I'm going to possibly gather to help people play better golf. Along that way, I was put in a situation when I was growing up in New Orleans where I had 3 really good instructors around me. I had a guy that I went to directly, that was my home club. His name was Rob Noel, top 100 teacher. 20 minutes away, I had a guy named James Lights. And then 10 minutes away, I had a guy named Brian Manzella. So that's where I was stuck at 8 years old. You can wonder what's coming and what they teach and how they influence me. The second part of that stage, of that journey, would be what model, what style of teacher are you? What do you like to teach? And can you define what you teach? I think that for me is something I can work off of. The good thing is nobody swings the golf club exactly like my model or my style. But it's something to start every baseline, and we're going to talk about that, and how to develop your baseline. I really hope that I can just encourage you to gather a lot of information, create your own style, create your own method, something you like to teach, and then that gets into what the good doctor here says, craft. How do you actually coach it to someone? Are you developing training aid, your own training aids? Are you developing a system of how to navigate your model? How am I going to convey to my student, and what is the student really like? Do they walk in and all their clubs are disheveled, their shirts tucked out, are they a field player? Or are they really kind of buttoned up, everything's ironed? I mean, I've been ironing a shirt for a week to get ready for this thing. You talk about nervous. So when you create that craft, you've got to develop that style and that model that you can coach to that player. And then the last one is the first time I touched on it today. I've touched on it individually, but I haven't touched on it in a group setting, which is you give without expectation. It's the highest form, I believe. It's service. Your selfless intent, your focus on your art. You give with no expectation and unconditional kindness when you want to bring that to your golf lessons. And part of that is accepting the student for where they are in their journey, or where you are in your journey as a teacher. I spent 13 years in step 1. That's where I spent in step 1. I spent a little too long. And I woke up 7 years ago and I said, I'm done with this. I just don't want any more information. I want to create my own style, my own model. I want to double down on it, and I want to learn how to teach it to. I want to take that and learn how to navigate that so I can use it every day. So, and then here we are today, and I thank Scott for just letting me get to step forward, or my step forward. Some influences in my life. I can tell you that I haven't been anything I'm going to tell you today. We stand on the shoulders of the one that come before us. I'm probably the great observer, meaning I love to observe and watch people teach, talk to people, and those names up there, you know, James Lights that I mentioned, Rob Noel, I've been knowing since I'm 8 years old. Chuck Cook, that's the last person. I don't teach golf to people, I teach people how to play golf. That's a great one. And then James Lights, great golfers pay homage to laws they know not exist. And that's an important one for me, because we need to know those laws. We need to know why things are happening, how they're happening, the steps they're happening in, and that's our job. Our job isn't to give all the information to the student. Our job to the student is to lower their scores, and I never try to forget that, because I get excited about all these alignments and TrackMan and stuff we're going to talk about, and I've got to redirect myself and go, we're just here to get them to shoot 90, we're getting them to break 90, and so forth and so on. So. Okay. What kind of teacher are you? Do you teach tour players, amateurs, beginners, golfers? Are you a method teacher? Do you strap someone in and give them numbers off their chest, side mid, and so forth? I'm a threshold teacher. And what that means is anybody comes through the threshold, over the threshold, I'll teach them. And that's just the way it is. And I'm anybody a threshold teacher? Anybody just teach whoever walks through the golf academy? Of course, yes, that's me. And I've been doing that for the last 15 years. 15 years. 90, and what I put up here is a whipped cream candy. Most of my students' ball flights, and I love every student, it goes in 5 directions. Right, left, straight, down, or up, or a combination of any. So that's when we go back to the journey, because if it's going in 5 or 6 different or whatever different directions, it's a whipped cream cannon, how are you going to fault and fix that? Where are you going to start? If I fix the slice, he's got a hook, and so forth and so on. So that's when we go back to more of the process, and we'll talk about that process. 95% of my lessons are error correction lessons, and really, what are they? They're guys that slice, club face gets open, trying to hit the outside of the ball. So, goal from there would be, you know, I know I've trained Evan, I work with Evan, Elena, and Lisa, and Evan, if the club face is open, what do we do? Close it. We close it. He's my man. So, why is that important? Because if I can get it going left, if I can get the face, match up the face and get the face a lot better, and I've got a 9-degree left swing plane, well, all of a sudden, I can get the guy to get in a little better impact position. And I can start moving that golf ball from going left. At least I've got it going in one direction, which is a pattern, to back to straight. I don't have it going in 5 different directions all the time. So how would you do that? I would say, as a teacher, I would encourage you, study the golf machine. The first thing you should do with the book is, you'll love this one, because you get 3 of them. First off, I've got 3. The first thing you should do, and this is authorized by Joe Daniels, because I would have never done it if he wouldn't have told me to do this, is you bring it somewhere and you cut the binding off. Because when you open it, it never stays open. So if you actually want to study it, I didn't bring it with me, but this is the first copy I found. I got 3 of them. You just cut it off, you bring it somewhere, they're going to spiral bind it for you, and it'll lay flat on your desk. It's much, much easier. I know that sounds really simple, but it's much easier as you can't see. But if you just open it, it's hard enough as it is, it just keeps closing all the time. If you really want to have fun and get into the fog, you start there. So the author of the Golf Machines, Homer Kelly, it took him 28 years to write it. He dedicated his life to it. The story's in the book. I won't bore you with it. But these are just some names you should know if you do happen to pick up the book. Ben Dole's the first authorized instructor of the golf machine. I never met Ben. His real name's Bentley J. Dole from Carmel Valley, California. But all my mentors met him and spent a significant amount of time with him. Funny story is Ben didn't like clubhead throwaway, as you know. I mean, we're here because there's clubhead throwaway. Thank God for that. I mean, so Ben's idea of a playing lesson, you would hit punch shots around the first hole, around the first green, until you could lag the golf club and get your flat left wrist, and then he may let you hit a full shot. So I've got a 4-inch scar on the back of my hand that says I've never released the club my entire life, so I don't even know what that means. And he would shake your hand, he would shake it, and it would be bent like this. He never let you straighten your right wrist. So it only bends that far now, so that's all I got. How do you learn the book, or how do you go about it? Well, in the book, it tells you where to start. That's pretty good. But I think you should do this. I think you should take step 1, and you should observe, what does it say? Not what do you think it says, not what your interpretation of it is, what does it say? Now, how I started that is I didn't know what it said. So I went to Joe and spent an inordinate amount of time with him, and he started, of all places, in the glossary. I mean, I got a Cajun accent, that's the best I can say. So, in the glossary, and he started with all the terms. Because what it says and what I thought it said were 2 different things. And you've got to get on the same page as Homer, which is pretty tough. Because he grew up in a different time, his background's different. I mean, I just barely graduated. I mean, an A. So, I mean, he's got an engineering degree. So we're on a different wavelength. But if you start there, and that's important. So what does it say? You start with the glossary, you start with the terms, you understand what he's trying to tell you. And then step 2, interpretation. What does it mean? Okay, so I'll tell you where I started. I actually remember where I was and when I started this journey. And I didn't call Rob, I called James Lights, and I started, it's on the next slide, but I'll tell you, we'll go to the next one. Sorry. What must I do? Application. So you observe it, you interpret it, and then what do I do with it? How do I implement it into my style? How do I make people better, play better golf with it? How do I lower people's handicap and scores? And then we'll go to, this is where I started. I started with the secret. So I called James, and I said, James, I think I want to teach golf professionally. I want to become the best instructor I want to be. And he said, well, Craig, I know you got a golf machine background, you have a passion for that. He said, you ought to just at least start at a chapter called The Secret. Pretty good place to start. I said, that sounds pretty good. I was 22 years old. I mean, I was trying to teach golf for free because I surely couldn't charge for it then. So what it says is, club hand lag is the secret of golf. Pretty good information. It is simple, elusive, indispensable, without substitute or compromise, and always present. Okay? So if it's always present, is it present in a putt, a chip, a full swing, a pitch, a bunker shot, a full shot? What? Yes, that's what he says. And then how do you teach it? How do you teach lag? How do you teach club head lag? If anybody figures it out, let me know, or perfects it. And then I moved on to the next page, which is the continuation of the secret. I'm not going to read you the whole thing and bore you, but there's some of this that you got to have. The essence of club head lag technique is that it's always both aiming and thrust. Passive is primary, aiming, lag pressure. And so while I read that, other than to confuse myself, is the word pressure. Lag is not wrist hop. So I misunderstood a little bit of that. Is that I thought lag was touching the, I can't even do it because my wrist, but is touching the club to your shoulder on the way down. And what I know that now to be is overloaded second accumulators of cock in the left wrist, which creates narrowness, which probably tends to be a steepener. But pressure is something different. And pressure is going to create some compression and some smash. The three imperatives. In chapter 2, Mr. Kelly presents law. This is fact. This is what he liked to see. This is what he said you must have. You must have a flat left wrist. And I'm going to tell you, I learned a lot about a flat left wrist because my interpretation of a flat left wrist was literally holding a golf club with a flat left wrist like this. And I can see that. And if we know, we're going to call this open face or weak. I'm going to call this strong. I'm going to call having my thumb at 2 o'clock with my anatomical snuff box on top of the shaft. I'm going to call that neutral. That little joint right there. So I had a little bit of a weak grip growing up, but as I created more pressure in rotation, I needed a little bit stronger grip so I can square that club face up. And that's just matchups that we get good players into. You know, have I weakened someone's grip because they look like this? You'll see it today. Oh, absolutely. Because I got to get them to play better golf. But getting back to the point, flat left wrist is always called a relative flat left wrist. So David Duvall can have a flat left wrist with a strong grip that's on this side. I can have a flat left wrist with Bryson DeChambeau's grip, which is a little bit weaker, right? And so forth and so on. So it's relative flat left wrist. That's important because that'll create a lot of confusion. Club head lag pressure point. The best thing to understand that lag is pressure. It's not wrist cock. And then a straight plane line. I just described a straight plane line as I want to hit the golf club swinging in the direction of the target. Don't we all? And if a straight plane line means I want to hit a cut, the path is a little left of the cut, well, I shift the baseline. That's called swing direction in TrackMan, or club path, but more swing direction. So, ball flight loss. This is the reason for the season, and I think they're really, really important to understand to direct your golf lesson. So these 4 things are present in every golf lesson or every golf shot hit. And these 4 elements control ball flight and measure impact. Club head speed, vertical and horizontal path. There's 2 parts to the plane, right? I mean the path. Club face direction and impact point. Let's put these in a hierarchy. So for me, number 1, face direction. I'm going to the face first. Meaning the face trumps the path. Second, impact point. Does anybody have a student with a Roman impact point? Probably. And that's a huge, huge thing that you pick up on immediately. If someone comes in and their impact point is really, really good, well, I don't even tell them, I just take a deep breath. I'm like, oh, got somebody who can hit it in the center of the face. I don't have to worry about that part. You know, because why would they have a Roman sweet spot? Does anybody, you know, it would be maybe one of the 4 snares. Bobbing, swaying, steering, putting, right? So one of those 4 things may be happening, or loft, lack of talent, take up efforts. So club face direction, club face is number 1, impact point number 2. I measure this in every shot. Then I would look at the path, and then club speed. This is my idea of club speed because I teach at a country club level. And I stick to this. I've only actively increased 5 people's club head speed last year. Meaning, told them to use, speed stick golf or former training. Because I believe most golfers at a country club level, the level I teach at, have enough club speed to play the best golf. But they don't have one thing. They don't have the wallet. And Mr. Kelly says he wanted a wallop. And a wallop means, I want to get you the definition, a heavy blow, a strike that is very hard. And I do this with my students all the time, because they'll say, I want to hit it further, I need to swing it faster. Not necessarily. I'll pick up their club, I'll swing it 3 to 5 miles an hour slower, and it'll go it'll go further than their category. And they're like, well, how are you swinging it slower and hitting it further? Well, I'm hitting it precisely with pressure. And it's really, really important to understand at a country club level. Because now, you're not kicking your students out the door. You're not sending them it's okay to send them to the fitness area. And it's okay to say, I think you should use this system or that system. But you can take them, you can build a proper impact position with pressure. You get it pointed at the target and have a little bit of face control, and all of a sudden, you're a hero. Or as James Lights would say, and I think we said it over there, you're the biggest midget in Midgetville. We were talking about that earlier. You can really be a huge asset to your club or to any student by teaching them how to strike the golf ball just precisely. And some questions I asked about impact, obviously how fast is the club moving? We already answered that. Which direction the club is moving? What direction is the face pointed? And where's the impact point? Great players control all of them. Good impact must include impact alignments that produce a desired distance, a shot shape and distance. It should be repeatable. And you wouldn't want to injure your students. So if you get them in some contorted position that they feel like they can and they blow their back out, well, that's not very good business model, maybe. What do we use to measure impact? Never guess what you can measure. That's from James. And behind any field systems and engineering system, that's why I really push you to get some really good, solid alignments in your golf teaching. Use the golf machine, use whatever method you may like. But if you want to create feel, I always create them from the feel of a really good alignment. I use TrackMan. My first interaction with TrackMan was when the first person in the country to own TrackMan was James Lights. He was 20 minutes away. He called me, he said, I spent $75,000 on a machine I don't know what to do with it. I need you to come hit some balls on it so I can try to figure it out. And that's when he came up with James Lights swing model and beat plane and all these things. Does anybody use TrackMan on every lesson? We got some TrackMan users. Does anybody use any of these other ones? GC Quad? Okay. And then traditional video. Traditional video doesn't show you 8 of the most important alignments that TrackMan will show you. So I think it's really, really important. I've been teaching on TrackMan for 12 years. I think that's about right. And how do you set up your TrackMan? So this is how I set up my TrackMan. I think it's really, really important that you have your own way to set it up, but I will tell you that I grouped these in. I added a number at the bottom. I don't use this screen. I don't use that one. I should use the laser, sorry. There we go. Oh. I don't use that screen. I pull that screen up if needed, but this screen is on a TV. If you're hitting right-handed, the TV would be there, and then I put video behind the student. It's on this wall. So that's where my TVs are placed. But I can tell you that I group these together because my eyes really probably stay right here. Oh. Stay right there in that area for most of the day, which is speed, and then angle of attack, club path, swing direction. So that's my path, contact point, and then face angles are right here. And there's my wallet. This student obviously was having a great day. He was 16 degrees in and out. He was hitting a half-inch behind it, so thankful we were on a really nice mat, sponsored by Sim Turf Golf. Check them out if you like them. But James and I set up my TrackMan this way, and I can tell you the last number I've added to my TrackMan is this one right here, the low point distance. It means a lot to me. It has. I've done my own research on it, meaning how does it fit in my own swing model? Because what I see with good players, and I get it once every now and then, I think I got the 4-time club champion last weekend, so that was a nice treat. And at the club, at Houston Country Club. And so he was 7 down, so he's attacking was -7, path was almost 0. We know what the swing direction is, right? If he's 7 down and the path 0, what's the swing direction? Anybody know? It's going to be left. It's going to be left. Because the club's moving down, out, and forward through the golf shot. And then the big one was right here. His low point was 6.8 to 7 inches in front of the golf ball. And I think some teachers would leave it. I mean, they would say, well, his path is 0. But his low point is 7 inches ahead. Does anybody have a preference on low point? What do y'all like with low point? Anybody have any? I like it about 2.8 to maybe 4.1 based on speed, vertical swing plane. So when I saw that and I listened to him, I said, okay, sir, which shot don't you want to hit? Well, I don't want to hit it left. Okay, why does he hit it left? Well, look at it on video first, look at the numbers. He's hitting a few golf shots, all 6 irons. And I said, well, you're in front of it, backing up, and he's under-rotated at impact. So, if he's in front of it, he's backing up, slightly under-rotated at impact. What do you think the club's going to do? What's the face going to do? At 90 miles an hour, it's going to pass his hands, and he's going to get scared of that golf shot. So now I've got a really hard job. I've got to back him up, which feels weird for a good player, and got to get him to rotate some more. Because if I get him to rotate more, and he's already 7 ahead, I could steepen him too much, and so forth and so on. But getting back to the point, is that that's the last number that I've added to the system. I think it's really, really good. And I think if you look at, the reason why I put this up here, if you look at these 3 numbers as a whole and grouped together versus just putting the club path up there, it'll pay dividends in the long run. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to tell you. My swing model, my substance in every lesson, I try to teach good impact alignments. We talked about that. Try to control the low point of the golf swing with compression, face control, swing direction, and then lag, which is a speed generating system. If you get some lag, and when I explain to my students really what is lag, what's the purpose of the club head? The purpose of the club head is to go behind us and stay there. For the swing model I teach. So all of a sudden, I get the golf club behind them, and I'll say, okay, well, how am I going to get the sweet spot to the golf ball? I can move it this way. Well, that's chicken wing in, I lost my left wrist, right? I can rotate into the golf ball. That wouldn't be a bad idea. So if the student is new or in beginner stage, I start off with stroke builders. We just start off with short shots. And as you create lag, as you create some good alignments, things that I really like that I'll mention. I like the elbow joints 10 inches apart. When I was a kid, we used to watch in Mr. Hogan's book, 5 Lessons, the elbows were tied together. I don't think he told us how wide they need to actually be. So, you know, me, I was young and I don't have a very big chest, so I just almost had a touch. Well, that's too close. Well, but if I can have the same distance in my golf swing with my elbows, well, now all of a sudden the elbows are wide. I've broken my flat left wrist. Now my lever, my fulcrum's here, right? So I get my elbows 10 inches apart, all of a sudden it's a little easier to flatten that left wrist. It's a little easier to convince my student to when they take it back, it doesn't go this way. Next thing I really like, some things that I have preferences to, is I like this elbow staying in front of the seam of the shirt. Number one, most people have a seam on their shirt. So it's really easy to get an understanding of a mirror. I've got a mirror in there in the teaching facility, and to go, okay, in my golf swing, now we know the object of the club head is to go behind us and stay behind us, but our arms are made to stay in front of our chest. So now all of a sudden I've got a stopper, because if I want the club head behind me, all of a sudden I can just keep putting it behind me, keep putting it behind me, like, coach, I don't even land. Well, no, you're disconnected. And I was kind of forced to watch a lot of boxing when I was a kid for some reason. And if you ever watch somebody throw a really good knockout punch, it comes from here, it never gets behind them first. So there's some disconnection in that. I don't know what the connection is. I have to talk to Brian McKinnis. But I really, really like the elbow in front of the seam. So if I get an impact and I get to the top of my model, or I get to here, I'm just living an impact the whole time. Now, is that the way someone hits it on ESPN 400 yards? Maybe not, but if you want a 90 feet high, dead straight ball, that's a good place to start for me. So going back to my stages of 1, 2, 3, and 4, when I was creating my model, I always decided, what is the outcome of the model? What am I trying to build? Am I trying to produce a draw golf swing? Am I trying to produce a fade? No, I just started 90 feet in the air, dead straight ball flight, and then as I got further along, I started having my preferences. What do I like my TrackMan numbers to look like? Then we start building upon those things, and you can build your own model. And a lot of this is for you, because I don't know what your students do, but I can tell you that if you do these things and you create your own way, just like I said in the beginning, you can really help a lot of people play better golf. So use the P system. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it. This is the 10 positions in the golf swing. I'm going to kind of run through my model. It's just me posing it, some different positions, and we'll talk about it. This is where preference does meet substance. The beginning of what I told you with Golf Machine and the 4 laws that are undisputed with TrackMan, well, that's your substance. I got to work around that. Preference is, where do you like the golf club? Do you like the golf club when I turn shoulder plane? Do you like it one single shift? What do you like to teach? I think good players play close to the plane. There's one that doesn't. There's always one, Jim Furyk. I think most people have a swivel in their golf swing. There's always one. One guy doesn't. Jordan Spieth, right? He always ruins it. Somebody will ruin it for you. But I like the golf club with a single shift. I like everybody to have a swivel in their golf swing after they deliver impact, stuff like that. I threw this in. The only thing I added was inline, which is 3.5, 3.5. So when I look at this, I won't go through every position for you, but I'll just kind of just let you know how my mind thinks. When I look at this, I go, my preferences. I calculate stance width, inches of height divided by 4.25. That gives me the distance from the ankles I want to start. I stole that from an Olympic coach. He teaches people how to pick up the heaviest weight they can pick up. So I always said I need to start somewhere, and I need to build a BOS, a base of support. If I'm going to get in there and try to pick up a Volkswagen, I want to know, is it this wide, what is it for me? So I can create the most ground force, that's a popular term. If I can create enough torque. So I always tell students, and it's a way to communicate with your students. People will say, well, should I stand wider compared to what? If I tell them, oh, your baseline is, I always do it from the inside of the heels. So my foot is an exact foot. So I'll go in there and go, okay, I need 14 inches wide from the inside of your heels. Well, now that leaves me open so I can change foot flare. I like to start at 10 degrees. That's the middle of the heel to the big toe is 10 degrees of foot flare. If I go wider, it changes the knee action. It only bends in one direction. So if I turn it in, it's going to bend that way, right? So all these things all of a sudden change what happens up the leg system. Because the leg isn't in our hands, it starts from the ground up. And remember, I started on the secret, so leg, everything has got to be about leg. And that's the kinetic sequence. So feet, foot flare, those alignments are really, really important to me. How your knees work, what your preference is. I'll just go through some more alignments here though really quick. So distance of your feet, foot flare, let me go through the 5 points of posture. I like balls of feet, tip of knees, butt of clubs, back of elbows, top of spine. If I drew a line right here, the camera angle's not great. This is the best we had. So balls of feet, tip of knees, butt of club, back of elbows, top of spine. Top of spine, C7, you've got two centers in the golf swing. One is the top of your spine. The other one's where the club attaches in your left shoulder. That's just good to know if you're trying to help someone bob in a swing. Because it's not your head, right? I mean, how many times you run into radial locks where someone comes in and their eye line is tilted? I mean, I've got these glasses that I made, and you put them on, and they've got lines on them, and I put them on the person, and they're like, why are the lines tilted? Because that's where you're tilted. I mean, how many times have you straightened someone's head out and their path changed? Try to take a left-hand turn looking to the right. Doesn't work very well. So, head position, and it also explains distance from the ball. I want every golfer to stand the same distance from the ball on every swing. So people call me two things. I want to hit it further, you got no wallop, and I want to be more consistent. Well, let's give them some consistent alignments to deal with. And obviously the club distance changes the length of the club, but not where I put the butt of the club, because that's my strongest position. Now, I'm not saying every golfer should play from there. I'm saying that's where I start, because I may have some really good golfers that go, okay, I'm standing on these lines, now my balls and my feet's on there, metatarsal 1 and 5, and they may play just outside of that. They may play, but at least I know as I coach them, I'm prepared if it goes bad. What do you do with a student when they start hitting bad shots? Well, we go back to, hey, this is when you were hitting at your best. This is what we need to move into, and so forth and so on. So I'm not going to go through every position like that, but I've done that for every position. What's my tip action? How much turn I like, and you can kind of deal with this. Just some simple stuff, like I was working with John Rollins in Dallas. He's going on the Champions Tour. I think he's done pretty good. And, if the club's outside from my model, and obviously I threw him out there because I really don't work with tour players, but I threw him out there to tell you that I don't teach my model to every person, but I'll navigate through it. And so if the club's outside at P2, and the plane's over here, where do we think the club's going to go? It's going to have to navigate to the plane. He's a pretty good player. Now, as it starts navigating to the plane, is it going to find the plane line? Is it going to stay there for consistency? So it's just really simple. We got the club a little bit better at P2. It changes attack angle a little bit. Got him back hitting some cuts, which he wanted to hit anyway, and go on, make some money. P3, simple, just elbow in front of the seam. I'll give you my backswing thought so you don't think I'm just totally super technical. I just want the golf club, the face of the club to point to the ball for the first 2 feet, and then I want to bring the right arm to my side. So impact model, if I have a dress, there's my impact. Now how am I going to get this position into impact? I rotate. I can't change this. I don't want to change that. So that's just your first drill. I'm just getting the impact. And all of a sudden, where does the club need to go? It needs to go up. I'm going to post up a little bit, get the club to go around the corner. Maybe we create a little bit of ball striking. Drills, just what I showed you there. I showed, this is Chris. guy I worked with, he had a roaming sweet spot, worse than a dog on a long leash, and sorry, I had a little fun in there. And we got him the same thing I just showed you, 2 feet back to your side, and he was like, that's it? Well, that'd be like $50, yes sir. You stop right here and pay. That's what I like top of the swing to look like. No one looks like that. It's posed. It's just for me. Effective kinematic sequence. I think this is important because my model's changed over the years. At the top, I thought there was still pressure on the right foot at this point. There's not in my model. Because as you can see, well, I gotta use this. The hips have started, this is the top of the backswing, that's impact, that's the wallop, the collision. And so the hips have started what? Before the backswing has finished. That's hard to teach. I would teach that without a golf ball. This is when I take the golf ball away. I had an indoor facility, 6,300 square feet. I ran for 8 years, sold that, moved to Denton, which is Argyle, built a golf academy for Denton Country Club. And then in that process of teaching indoors a lot, I came up with people have ballitis. They really want to hit the ball. So when I took that ball away, created some craft, created some drills to create some lag, some kinematic sequence, went through TPI, which I highly suggest you do. I bought a KDS. Learn more about how the body moves. It really helped my students play better golf. So, one of my students in the drive, chip, and putt. Let me see how I can play the little video. Here we go. I had 2 students go to the national finals of the drive, chip, and putt. That's her swing. I was proud of her. Threw it in there. Thought she did a great job. Just after that, her mother thought she needed to expand her horizons, play different sports. She took up basketball, tore her labrum, never played golf again. It happens, right? Another student, Morgan, she went to the National Drive, Chip, and Putt. Won the U.S. Kids National Championship at 16. She plays college golf. She's still a good friend, but I don't have a lot of interaction with her as far as a coaching standpoint. Again, mechanics produce and field reproduces. Behind any system, there's an engineering system. These are the things you can feel in a golf swing. You can ask a student, do they feel their posture, and help them with the alignments, alignment base. You can help them with their balance, their rhythm, their rotation, acceleration, sequencing, braking, releasing, and so forth. We're just going to keep going. Let's show you another golf swing. This is a pretty good story. Kid comes to me, great baseball player, wanting to quit baseball at 16 and take up golf. First thing I asked him is, was he okay? I went to talk to his father. I'm like, are you sure? This guy can't smoke a baseball. And he wanted to play college golf. And I'm like, man, we got about 2 years. Can you play college golf? Well, that gives me a good opportunity. That kind of looks like my swing model. Because now I'm starting from scratch. So I actually like that. Let me watch that one more time, just for me. Hadn't seen him in a while. But he went on, 5 points of posture, straight back, left arm, folds to the side, pretty good wrist action, stays pretty close to the plane. He went on to play college golf. That made me feel good for him. Impact position, in line. Martin Hall calls it the 12-foot lever. I like watching Martin because he'll throw the golf machine on Golf Channel every now and then. Kudos to him for doing that. Ben Dole, sustain the line of compression, his famous words. Secret to golf. In line comes from Mac O'Grady. And just, I would encourage you to. Where's my golf club? Where's my golf club? There we go. Sorry. When you think about just the first drill, when you educating hands, it's in the golf machine, it's called educated hands. Just teach people how to use what Mr. Cleveland said was the devil. What did he call it the devil? The leading edge? Teach people how to use the leading edge. If I wouldn't do it like where the greenskeepers take pictures, you know, because we're going to dig some ground. I know Ben Dole used to take in a bunker, and he would get you to use the leading edge in the bunker, so he just wasn't ripping up the grass constantly. I've got a little area in front of my teaching facility no one cares about. We're about to do a renovation anyway, so. And I'll get people just hitting the ground. You can be amazing how hard it is for someone to actually uncock their wrist and line the golf club up just to hit the ground. I mean, one guy's like, I'm paying you for this? Yes, sir, you are. It's really nice. It's really nice, and you're going to get a lot better at doing it. So this is the kind of the matchup deal where I don't think I was going to fix this guy's early extension in the 25-minute lesson he had. He signed up for a half hour, was 5 minutes late and wasn't warmed up. So I had about 10 minutes to fix it. Other than that, it was no expectations. They used to call me the wizard at Denton Country Club. He's like, I heard you're like the wizard. You can fix my game. Sure I can. 15 minutes, we'll get it fixed. So all I did was just move his anatomical snuff box or his grip weaker and match it up to that flip pivot. And you know what? Sometimes flip it straight. I mean, I cannot get everybody. This guy kind of worked on it. You can see it's 2 different days. It's kind of like the Golf Channel magic. I didn't do this all in one day. You see the difference in the sun there? They put the range in the same spot, but I know it's a different day. And he came back with the same stuff. But, you know, I got him to get impact a little bit better over time. It probably took a couple of lessons. But the guy on your left is your typical walk up, can you help me? And that's why I think the golf machine is great, because I'll throw a number out there, I don't know if it's true. Joe Daniels, the 14 days we spent together, told me there's 456 quadrillion different ways to swing a club. You know, there's 24 basic components, there's 3 to 6 variations of every component. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm like 28 years old, I'm like, I have no clue. South Louisiana education. And I'm like, I'm just trying to identify one, man. I need one out of 426 quadrillion. You know, and I think now I probably teach proficiently, I probably teach 5. I probably can understand, you know, up the wall patterns, which is, you know, if a guy can't pivot at all, it's probably for your seniors. You know, one of them, stack and tilt. Stack and tilt was invented by Michael Grady. It was called the high handicap pattern, you know, like this, to get people to hit down and use a leading edge, and then it went on to be stack and tilt. So that's my typical guy though right there. And he loves me. He came back, sold him some short game lessons, and taught him how to flip it straight. Played pretty good golf. PA, P9. It does say in the golf machine, it does say in the book that every procedure should have swivel motion. So, you know, if that swivel motion looks like this, if it looks like that, that's based on club head matchup, club face matchup, right? So if it's a little bit more open, it's going to be more round and look like that. If the grip's a little stronger, you may get it. I don't know if you can see it. It may look like this. So I don't really love that. Oh, that's the finished position, but the swivel motion is just to get rid of the chicken wing. I mean, who's fixed more chicken wing than Hooters in here? I mean, there's a guy back there. I mean, good gracious. I mean, I love to fish, and I guarantee you, the first boat I owned was paid for only by chicken wings. I was going to learn how to fix a chicken wing. My father had a chicken wing. I watched my whole body. He never got rid of it. God bless his soul. P10. No one likes P10. All my juniors like P11 and 12. I didn't put it up there. P11 would be, I don't want to just tear this whole place out. So P10, P11 would be here, and then P12 would be the twirl, right? 11, 12. And so you've got to have a little fun. You just can't give them all stick, right? You got to give them a little sugar every now and then. So working on the twirl, having fun with your students, that's really what it's all about. This just tells you what I do in every golf lesson. I've got about 8 minutes. I learned as much as I can about the golfer. What's your typical? I've been playing 21 years of 18 handicap. How much chance you got to help him? He's been doing it so long, and he's such a high handicap. That's the first thing someone tells me. my mind goes to that, right? So then what's their physical limitations? I always just look at them, right? Most of the time I try to meet the person at the cart because I like to see what kind of clubs they're hitting, how their clubs are organized in their bag, how many scars they have on their left knee from skiing, did they play college football, whatever it may be. I observe the ball. I always watch the golf ball before I look at Trahan. I watch the golf ball. Coach, wow, that really stuck with me. And I was still playing there. So, I mean, it didn't matter until I started teaching professionally. But if every lesson is built on the next, who is that on? The student or the teacher? That's on the teacher. So you should be able to conceptualize where you're going. That's why I really like having your own style, your own method, and being able to know how to navigate. Because then there's not a lot of surprises. Somebody always asks me, how was your day, Craig? I didn't get any surprises. My day goes really bad when I'm surprised. When something out of the norm happens of my little mind, my little system. Find the starting point, major issue, develop a game plan, and coach them, right? I went to high school. I was fortunate. I mean, I had 3 golf teachers, Robin Well, James Lights, and Brian Manzella, within 20 minutes of me. And then I went to the number 1 football high school in the country, J.T. Curtis, won 629 games, 28 state championships. So if you know anything about coaching, just go out and play football. I never played football, not one day. But I got to see him coach, so it really helped and I think you should do that. I think you should go watch people coach other sports, because you'll really realize what kind of coach you want to be. I'm over positive, and I'm going to choke up. I got to go in 5 minutes. But I'm going to love my neighbor like myself, and I'm going to put God first in every golf lesson. Approach to scoring. Let's skip it. Let's go to something really important. I got 4 minutes. Club fitting. I like club fitting because the club directly affects the golf ball. So other than everything I just told you, I can change the golf ball with the club fitting. And it also expands your business. Not only are you a good coach, well, you can be a great fitter. That's more students. Because a lot of times people won't come take golf lessons, but they'll come get a club fitting. So I'm a club fitter. I fit Ping, Titleist, Zexio. I used to fit Henry Griffins. Randy Henry, I can tell you a whole hour on Randy Henry. He invented the modern club fitting system. He happened to walk into my life about 12 years ago. Most incredible thing. Gift from God. Great guy. But club fitting will help you expand your business, because you want to make some more money. You know, you can do what the doc said and do programs, or you can just see more people. You can be more available. And you have an opportunity to really change the ball flight with the club. So I have a system, either red, yellow, green. I never give a lesson without a fitting system next to me. Now remember, I don't teach tour pros. I teach amateurs, whipped cream cannons. So I have a fitting system all around me, 3 fitting systems all around me. So if I get to a point where I know I can't overcome this golf club, I build the guy a golf club. And I let him make his own decision. Is that good salesmanship? No. It's being a good coach. You put the quarterback shoulder pads on the lineman, it doesn't work. I mean, it's the same thing. So you're just trying to help people, and if you sell $500,000 or $600,000 worth of golf clubs like I do, it'll work out. So club trumps the body. Another way, we're going to skip that. Teaching tools. I didn't want to go over this because this is really what I use. Do I use an iPad anymore? No, but I use alignment rods, mirror, just simple stuff, right? Club fitting system. I do have a Mitchell line off machine. It's not readily available. It's in the cart vault. Well, it's in the storage area, but I did have it at every single job I've ever had, or golf academy I had. I'm a big proponent, lie angle, loft. I want it to be right. I use TrackMan, Aimpoint certified. I think I have like the 7th or 8th Sam Putt Lab ever built. I really like Sam Putt Lab. Something that's not up there that I think you can use is Blast Motion. Blast Motion Golf's a really cool tool, and I would check it out. I have a force plate, not a force plate, I have a balance plate. It does help. Business practices, I would say give back. I used to give about $14,000 worth of golf lessons away a year. I do a little bit of a little bit of less of that now, but I do think giving back's a big part of what you should do. I do run a yearly junior golf program. We run a lot of junior golf in Eastern Country Club. Look, Elena's over there smiling, she's shaking. Marketing promotion, I have a website. I think it's important. I'm not real big on Instagram or Twitter, not Twitter, X, obviously I don't use it, and so forth. And then PGA education. That'll be the last thing I tell you. I'm a big believer in the PGA.